a virtual webinar so we could keep it moving. And there's been even releases, I think, that we're going to show you today that weren't out a month and a half ago. So wild.
No, we included new releases that came out a couple weeks ago that are I can't wait to show you. I can't wait to show you.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So, should we get to it, Jen?
Sure. Let's get to it.
Alrighty. So, we have a jam-packed agenda for you today. So, we are going to go through the history of AI in marketing, some important stats to know about the future of AI in marketing, benefits of using AI in marketing, using ChatGPT specifically for insurance brokers, and the importance of data and the access to data and what that means for your marketing strategy and increasing new business and cross-selling existing business. And an important topic for both Jen and I is climate change and crisis communication. So we're going to show you how you can use AI to build all of that. And the second part of this bootcamp really is how you can use AI to optimize your marketing spend, how agencies are using AI so that you can do a lot more with less. And, if you are looking, if you don't have a marketing department or you do have a marketing department and you need extra expertise or extra help, how working with an agency can do that for you.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, okay, I'm going to ask a question here. So let's see. Can you guys see this poll? When did marketers start using AI? Let's see. This is an interesting one. I don't give anything away. See what we get for answers here. I'll give it a couple minutes. Look at that little typo. I wonder if can't fix it. Just ignore it. It's not the year 19,702. We're not going into the future here. So why don't you go ahead and answer the poll? Okay, so answers have come in. I'm going to publish the results here. So when did marketers start using AI? Everybody answered in the 2000s. Interesting, because I think that's what I would have answered too before I've done my research. Actually, it is in the 1950s and 1960s. So that early, marketers started using programming and game theory and decision trees to try to optimize marketing and pricing strategies. So that's kind of a very early history. Something that I am very passionate about is hyper-personalization in marketing and how AI has transformed that. So here's an example of personalization in the 2010s and how it was supercharged in the 2020s. So in the 2010s, we saw the advent of social media channels really using basic AI for targeted ads. So it would find people of the interests or friends with similar interests. We saw it maybe how would I say this in a politically correct way? Maybe influence a few political voters in a not so great way. But in the 2020s, when AI really took off, you saw it in Spotify, the Spotify DJ, which, oh my goodness, I canceled my Apple subscription just because Spotify's personalization for it just knew the types of music I like and was able to give me recommendations of music that's similar that I'd never heard about before in a way that Apple Music it cannot compete. So Spotify is taking my money. We saw it for anybody who shops at Sephora. They came out with their augmented reality kiosk where you can try out makeup virtually, and it increased their online sales by 35%. So it's kind of crazy.
The Burger King one, if you we don't have a link to some of their recent ads, but if you go and search up some of the Burger King ads and their new branding, it's pretty wild actually. I didn't even notice that one was on here when we were doing this one, but very cool.
Okay, so just quickly, because I know there are people here who are music nerds, did anybody do their time warp on Spotify? Speaking of AI, and what city did you get? What city does your listening habits most resemble? If you've done your Time War, put your city in the chat. Mine was Berkeley, California, for anyone who's interested. And my listening style was vampire because I like dark, moody music.
That's hilarious.
And just so you know, like the theme throughout this boot camp is Victoria, BC. Tom, interesting. That fits. That fits with you. I know you, and that fits. Is the idea of how data encourages hyper personalization, which vastly increases conversion rates. Tom, I know we do like the moody music. Yeah. So
That's
Jen, do you want
awesome.
to talk about some of
Yeah,
the
so I think we all know, the adoption of AI in marketing isn't just a trend; it's here to stay, and frankly, it is propelling businesses toward unprecedented efficiency, hyper personalization, and undeniable cost effectiveness within the marketing realm, and obviously other realms. This dynamic shift isn't just going to be about growth, it's going to unleash this marketing revolution that's going to reshape the digital landscape and push us actually into digital success. I think that in just a few short years, we are going to look back and think and feel what we were doing up to this point is going to feel archaic, kind of like dial up internet, but not going to take even a fraction of that time. On this slide, we only touch on four but key areas in which AI is already solving challenges. So 80% of businesses expect to integrate chatbots by 2024. I know there's a lot of opinions about chatbots. They are getting stronger every single day. Personalized email campaigns powered by AI is increasing readership and click-through rates by 14% and up already. AI in digital advertising has led to a 150% increase. This is very exciting for me. And this is because there's a lot that goes into the different messaging, different imagery, test and learn of all of those different campaigns, the analysis and the optimization cycles to get to what is performing. So because of AI tools now, you can actually shorten that right down, which leads to 60% of companies have reported cost savings using AI. So this is only scratching the surface. The AI tools around generating content, video, soon to be full blown websites, SEO, marketing collateral are getting stronger every day. And like I said, Tanya and I put this presentation back together in September of this year, and there's already been new releases that we're excited to share with you today.
So why use AI in marketing at your brokerage? This is a key question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do another quiz here. Just going to open that up here. Let's see if it pops up. Are you going to pop up? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna come on add? Oh man, hold on. Show. I'm using new tech. Oh, here we go. Um, no, hold on. No. Anyway, can anybody guess in the chat? For anybody who's wondering, I'm using the back end of Vimeo for webinar, and it's really interesting if anybody's used Vimeo for webinar work before. So if you want to chat about it, I can give you the do's and don'ts. Obviously, one of them. Can anybody guess in the chat what are the two main challenges for marketing departments at brokerages specifically, and actually all marketing departments?
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Let me just
anybody,
say it.
anybody
We have,
guess it? It's okay if you don't want to guess. I'll just tell you the answer.
yeah.
Data is a big one. And data is something a little bit about me is I started doing marketing. Yeah, costs and reach, Andrew, that's a good one. I started doing marketing for Sharp Insurance back in 2013. And yeah, time and cost, competition, budgets, and not enough data, Chad. I started doing marketing in 2013, and the only data we had is what we could get out of the BMS. And
Yeah.
I couldn't even get basic demographics. I had to get demographics off Google Analytics for our website because you just couldn't get it out of the BMS at that point. I don't know. I think they had some improvements now with their data poll, but not that much.
Not that much.
even data points of like, what is your accurate retention rate, your bind ratio, so what lines of business are most profitable, what channels are giving you the best bind ratio. You might think your affinity programs are giving you the best bind ratio, but it might actually be from this lead source. So not understanding where you need to have your marketing spend means you're just throwing money away. You're throwing
Yeah.
money away and you're not really calculating your return on ad spend.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think just, I think we still see that same um, challenge with data. I think the improvement, speaking for what we've been able to do at Goose, is being kind of moving past some of those barriers, but it's still so manual to stitch all of that together. And again, I think we like to say that the data challenges with insurance and these BMS legacy systems is unique to insurance. It's actually not, right? We see this in other industries as well with legacy ERPs, for example.
And time and resources. So let's go back. So when I was doing creating ideas that are relevant and will get eyeballs on it, yeah, exactly, Dwight. It really is. And again, that's Dwight. That goes back to hyper personalization. It's getting people's attention and attracting their interest, and not trying to market to everybody all at once.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's those iteration cycles, which we'll get into later, is super exciting with AI because it allows you to test out several different iterations of messaging, right? And ideas in a fraction of what it would take, of what it's taken up to this point. So,
for sure. I want to talk a little bit of time and resources. So, back in my Sharp Insurance days, and for those of you who know the reputation of Sharp Insurance, we became a very digital company very quickly. And in order to do that, we had to really amp up our SEO. And guess which comms person was writing? Oh my gosh, I wrote hundreds of SEO landing pages for different cities, different types of policies. Do you know how hard it is to make landing pages sound different after you write 50 of them? Do you know how many nights I stood up thinking, like dreaming about being in Edmonton buying car insurance for these landing pages? Where ChatGPT will literally do that for you in seconds. Like, this blows my mind to me because that was a lot of time. It was painful and it was very repetitive. So marketers today are very lucky, very lucky.
yeah,
Um,
just to add to that, I think that, we always say that marketing is like raising kids. It takes a village and it's expensive, right? And I think so there's the content production, then there's also the skill sets, within all of these different realms, right? And it actually has gotten a lot more, complicated or surgical than it once was, right? But definitely laborious, um, the laborious task of creating content is just, and even writing for search engines, to your point about SEO, I mean, now your blogs and your articles need to be, I think at the average is something like 25 to 3,500 words, up to 4,500 words. I mean, you're looking at like
a
half
day
a day.
between research, writing, and editing, about a day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
ChatGPT, if you train it correctly, and we'll show you how to train it, can literally do that for you in like a minute. So, we're going to show you how to do that. I'm going to talk a little bit about ChatGPT. I nerd out about this topic quite a bit. I follow all the podcasts, watch all the YouTubes, everything about ChatGPT. So ChatGPT was founded in 2015 by Sam Altman. And for those of you who might hear Sam Altman's name because he was quite in the news lately with a scandal, and co-founder, not surprising, Elon Musk. And the biggest investor is Microsoft. Elon Musk stepped away in 2018 to focus on Tesla. However, he's still a major investor and he is on the board. So in 2021, in November of 2021, the OpenAI was released to just a small group of people to test it. And then ChatGPT was officially released to the public in November of 2022. And I can't believe it's been like just over a year since it's been released because it just exploded and it developed exponentially. And and the how software technology companies have been able to adopt this technology and make it better is just, it's
Yeah.
astounding, the exponential growth of this. So what does ChatGPT stand for? Well, it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which basically refers to how ChatGPT is trained. It uses reinforcement learning through human feedback. So as you're asking it questions, as it's learning from you, as it's getting responses, as it's taking up information from online sources, it's getting rewarded for right information, and then it ranks that information. Early iterations of this did show quite a bit of bias. Quite a bit of ethical issues, but OpenAI team have been working diligently to help reduce that. Of course, there are still issues, and you have to always operate these AI models with open eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's basically ChatGPT, and it's hard to believe that it's only been on the really open to the public for a year now.
Yeah, and I think I know, we talked about, maybe the adoption's low for this audience, but once you kind of get into it, again, we're going to show you some of that today. It's really amazing how quickly you become, I would say, reliant on it. I think, Tanya, you made a joke at Amplify that, like, you're using it sometimes to respond to your kids your kids teachers and the school emails, right? Like it really
Schools
does
are
start
so
to,
long, Jen. They're like a
exactly.
Dostoevsky novel. Okay,
Yes.
so for any parents out there, take those long essay emails, plug it into ChatGPT, say, give me the highlights. What do I need to respond to right away? And it would literally take like a 2,000 word email, give you the bullet points, and tell you what you need to action right away. It literally saves you an hour of your time. So,
Yeah.
life
Per
hack
kid.
from a working mom here.
Per kid. Yeah. So this, we're not going to go through all of these, but everyday benefits of AI, and it's only growing. We've talked a little bit, touched on SEO and content optimization. We're going to show you some of that, customer insights and personalization, predictive analytics, really next level automation, and advanced email. We're going to show you today. I think Tanya's going to show you how to train your Chat GPT. And how we use, actually, how important it is to use different chats. Okay, so you don't mix your chats with certain business lines. But the key to AI success in marketing hinges entirely on having a very clear understanding of your desired outcomes. So, and having the ability to train and prompt properly. I think that is going to be the biggest advantage. Knowing what you want, understanding how to ask the right questions. And we're going to show you a bit of that today in order to get the best results. You're welcome.
Well, is
I
that
think,
the parenting hack, Akeem?
yeah, the thank you was the parenting hack. But
Amazing. I got you.
yeah.
Okay, so let's really deep dive now on how, and you've got the history, you've got what it is, you've got why it's why it would benefit you. So let's really deep dive into how to actually use it right now.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about new business. Okay. So a lot of companies come to even Goose Digital and they don't really know how to go about doing effective audience research. This is essentially research and actions that you would take in order to understand and surface your ideal target customer or persona so you can go out and attract that business. We always say, like, yes, you can hire expensive market research firms, but we always say begin by looking at your current book of business and where you're winning today. So Truthful's suite of technology actually makes this incredibly easy. You can then enhance this data with AI marketing tools like Google Customer Match, Meta Custom Audiences to hone in on the best and most profitable target audience. The other thing that's been recent, Tanya's about to show you, is utilizing what you have today in not just your current book of business, but things like your website.
Okay, so I'm going to show you a video. I pre-recorded it of the newest update with ChatGPT. So the newest update that happened a few weeks ago allows ChatGPT to digest and analyze web links. It couldn't do this before. And so I played around with it. And just some cliff notes before I show you. It was able to, based on a landing page of an insurance website, I use Sonnet as an example because I find that they're really good at targeting demographics to show you how to build personas. Now, personas are really important because you need to build personas in order to get the hyper personalization we were talking about before. And those personas is how you know how to speak to a certain group of people that's in your book of business so that you're speaking directly to them and not just trying to speak to everybody all at once.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of walk you through this scene as it's happening. Um, okay, I refreshed. Can everybody hear me now?
Are we back?
I should just create a poll. Okay, good. I think you're right. Whoever said it was the video that killed our audio, you're right. It's exactly what happened. So I won't leave the video up next time when I'm talking. So the first prompt I used just to answer that question, I basically gave it the link. So I gave it the sonnet.ca. I said, hey, based on this website, can you give me the key demographics this website is trying to target? And then it gave me a very broad demographic. And then I said, can you drill down deeper? So my second prompt was, can you drill down deeper and give me personas based on those demographics? And it gave me that very basic layer of personas. And then I said, I need you to be more in depth with your personas. So then it gave me that like write up about values, interests, family life, etc. And so it gives you something like this that's on your screen right now.
Exactly.
And that there is really allows you to personal. And the coolest thing is usually from there, like after I'm building my personas and doing research or whatever, I then think really hard, how do I target my ads or my social media campaigns or my email marketing campaigns to those specific voices? ChatGPT did it for me. It wrote the perfect, like I probably would change very little for those ads that it wrote me. So it did something in mere minutes that as a marketer, maybe 2 weeks, Jen,
Yeah, exactly. Two
doing
weeks
some
is
research and like, and then
mind
you always
blowing.
have to brainstorm with your leadership, right, to make sure
Mhm.
that you're right, and then the creative goes back and forth. So it did it in minutes. So when we talk about cost and resources, which were a lot of the comments of like the biggest sticking points in marketing, that just eliminated so much of that,
Yeah,
allowing brokerages really for the first time to compete with direct writers and larger big brokerages in a way that was not really feasible before.
exactly. Yeah, and if you're in it, even if you're not spending on this holds true from a cost effectiveness on business as usual marketing or brand awareness, right? And it holds true on paid advertising. I think that it is like, I don't know how long it's going to even out the playing field for, but we're already seeing small brokers being able to lower their ad spend and compete, you know, on a scale with some of these direct writers that we know have, or banks that we know have larger pockets or deeper pockets. Sorry. Um, I think that I think when we talk about like the time savings and making sure everything gets approved by leadership, I think one of the things that I've been
Did Jen just freeze for
it's
everybody?
almost like it gives you this starting point. Oh, did I freeze? Did I okay?
Just for a
Am I
second.
good?
We're good. Yeah.
Okay. I like that it's I'm finding it very valuable in giving you that starting point. So it's not necessarily, yes, it's taking a lot of the thinking, but it's also prompting thinking. It's prompting the ideas, right? So going into this example here, like as Tanya was saying, is like you can basically use it to write all of your ads, right? So this is an example of personal cyber insurance using AI. Okay, so there's text ad in here, and then a corresponding single image ad. So I just love this because this is pre-edited, right? So you've got on the go security for your family, cyber insurance for busy lives, shield your wealth for just $15 a month, and this is kind of the corresponding image. Okay, so it is a bit off, like depending on who's actually looking at this, right? So you look at these kids and maybe shield your wealth for $15 isn't actually applicable, right? These kids probably don't have their own personal wealth. So maybe that's a bit off, right? The point is that this took 15 minutes. Our prompts were so strong because we understand the business line, we understand what we're trying to achieve, that you could do 5 different iterations of this with 3 different images and get them all up in a fraction of time. Does not even take a graphic designer that it once took, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so something I do, my background is content marketing. So a lot of what I do is I create content calendars for social media, email marketing, events, ads, all of it, you know it. And when I was working for Rogers and Sharp, this actually took the longest. Creating a content calendar and doing the research and putting it all together to Queeks, it was time consuming. I'm going to show you a video. My audio might cut out, so I'll let the video run. And if my audio cuts out, I'll just quickly explain after what's going on of how ChatGPT is creating content calendars for you. And if you, so I'm not going to go into training your GPT quite yet. We will in a minute, but the more prompts you give it, the better it'll be able to answer your question. And what I mean by prompts would be something like, I need you to create for me a 2 month social media calendar for an insurance brokerage operating out of Calgary, Alberta. Our main demographic are Albertans and people from Ontario between the ages of 30 and 45. I need a content calendar for the months of October and November. Ask me 10 questions that will help you create this content calendar, including email marketing. So by it asking us the 10 questions, it's already training itself to be a social media content creator. So it's already like looking for that knowledge, and then it's asking you the questions it needs to actually create that content calendar for you. So that's part of how you would train your Chat GPT. And something Jen and I talk about a lot, because we were early adopters and we've completely assimilated ChatGPT in our everyday work life, of how important it is to never close a chat and to keep your chats separate.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, and Jen, I know this is your brainchild, but if you don't know what the chats mean or what they are, maybe Jen, you can go into that before I show this example.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of, I mean, I don't know if there's a huge science to it, but I especially as an agency, but even if you apply this to different lines of business, right? You want to go back to those chats because you're constantly training. Constantly training the content output inside that chat, that you're not going to want to mix it, right? So if it's different personas, if it's different product lines, different locations, if you're global or even national. I mean, I don't know if you need to split it through national sides across Canada, but and never close them down, so you can keep training. I mean, it's very quick. It's actually surprising how quick you can. I think I already have. I don't even want to know how many chats I have in there already,
Yeah,
right? And then you're trying to scroll back to go. I mean, maybe they'll come out with some like really sophisticated filtering, but then you're trying to go make sure you go back to that chat if you're focusing on personal cyber insurance versus commercial cyber insurance, for example.
exactly. And so at TrueFlow, my chats are, because I talk to, so I work both in the sales part of the role, but also user adoption. So I have chats that I train to speak to broker principals and decision makers. That's a different language than for brokers who are actually using the tools that we provide every single day. That's a different persona. It's a different chat channel. So that language stays the same,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. I'm going to play this video. Fingers crossed it works out okay. So I'm setting it to our stream now. Um,
talks about removing the emojis so that because then you can start to see that it's generated by chat gpt, right?
Absolutely. So now when we talk about web content for insurance, that can be tricky because
Mm-hmm.
insurance is very legal and you have
Mm-hmm.
to be very careful about what you're writing because you don't want to risk an E&O. You don't want to risk saying something is covered on your website that's not covered, and you never want to give incorrect advice on your website because legally you could be liable for it. We all know this in the industry. So Truefla created a plugin, a web plugin called Content AI, and it's been trained in insurance underwriting. And it's also trained on learning the brand voice of your website and learning your user demographics, the visitors who are coming in, those demographics, and kind of speaking and resonating with them. So it's like, oh, could you repeat the note about emojis? Yeah.
Yes, Joy. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
No, you go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, we were just. Can you hear? If you guys can hear me, we were just saying that the emojis are becoming overused, and we suggest that removing the emojis. I mean, Tanya and I both love the emojis, but you can start to see that it is it just remove them. You're starting to see that it can be that the piece was written by AI with the emojis in there. So unless you think like there's a really good reason to keep them in, we suggest removing them.
And if you're using emojis in your subject line, spam filters are catching those. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would use them very minimally in your social media posts, and try not to like. I love using, actually, quick tip. I love using GIFs inside an email. GIFs actually for B2C email marketing have higher conversions. So if you can find a cool GIF, or if you're doing a promotion, or if you're trying to cross sell and you do a cool cross sell GIF in an email, it actually has a higher click rate. So maybe let's like roll back on the emojis and try inserting more GIFs in your email marketing.
Yeah. Hope
So
everyone got
yeah, so going back to the content AI. So when I was doing all the content writing for different brokerages, I really had to do a lot of research. I mean, I was a licensed broker. I was a broker for 2 years, so it wasn't too bad. But this basically does that for you. I mean, of course, you have to keep your eyes on the road. If you're in a driverless car, same thing with AI. You still have to look over the copy, make sure it's okay. But the Content AI plugin was trained by our team of data scientists at Trufla, and it's super cool. So I'm going to show you another video. Bear with me here of it working. I'm going to send this up. So, because you can't hear me when that video is going on, basically what I am demonstrating is, hopefully y'all can hear me now. Y'all, it's like I'm from the South. No, I'm from Nova Scotia. Okay, sorry, I don't know where that came from. I'm reading the Britney Spears
Oh,
autobiography now, and I'm picking up her language.
yes.
That was so random.
No
Okay,
kidding.
so basically, what I'm trying to say is I've been a content writer for a very long time, and I run a team of content writers, and typically to write a blog post, it takes about 2 to 3 hours for 1,000 words. It takes about 3 to 4 hours for over 2,000 words. The content AI plugin, the backend of WordPress, did it for me in 2 minutes. That's writing the content, formatting the content, and posting it. All I did was attach an image and maybe just looked over the formatting to my liking. So 2 to 3 minutes max. Can you even imagine? Like, if you don't have anyone writing blogs or putting fresh content up on your site, you can now do this. You can just have someone who likes this stuff, a broker or someone who's interested in marketing, do this for you. They set up 10 minutes of their day, writing 4 blog posts in 10 minutes and putting
Exactly.
that as your content for the month. Like
Yeah,
and using the content provided by the content calendar from ChatGPT and then using this plugin to write it. Like, it's insane.
yes. Yeah, and I think I want to stress that too is that when we think of SEO, we always think of just blogs and articles, right? We're not also thinking how critical it is, right? And I don't know if we're not thinking about it or if just that brokerages are not aware of it, how critical it is to update your website copy. The other copy, not just your article copy, right? So this is solving both issues, right? Both problems there in a fraction of the time.
You got it. So that brings us to the next section. We have 15 minutes left, so we'll just whiz by this. The data. Oh, the data. The data. It's so important. And as brokers, we just don't have a lot of access to it, which is really sad. But there's programs out there, and there are people trying to solve this problem as we speak, and
Yes.
Google is one of them.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. The data is like Tanya said. It's we all know there's struggles around it, but there are companies, providers, Trufla, even service providers like Goose Digital that are pushing past these barriers and starting with what brokers have today, right? And what they can get access to, and that's really critical. Obviously, targeted marketing is all based on the client data that you have in order to we've talked about this in order to get hyper personalized and create those specific targeted campaigns in order to have better results.
and then client retention, obviously, like, we're part of the CDAP program, and I think we've done over 25 CDAPs for brokerages across Canada. And the number one alarming thing I've noticed a trend is brokerages think they have an accurate retention number, but it's typically off by a standard
Yeah.
deviation of plus or minus 5. And we all know like a 4 to 5% increase in your retention doubles your profitability as a brokerage. So being off by that much is huge. So solving those data issues it's critical.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just replying to
Yeah, sure. I'll
Tiffany.
go with cross selling while you reply. So cross selling, um, if you know how much of your PIF count, if you know what your book of business divide is, so say you're 70% auto, and you know your demographic, so your book of business maybe is younger, then you're either going to sell them tenant and condo and maybe push up especially with interest rates what they are now, maybe wait until like a certain age to start cross-selling home insurance unless you have more data stating otherwise, or you send out, hey, you want to buy your first home, here's how to beat the interest rate. So you can really start doing more targeted marketing and hyper personalization based on that data.
Exactly. Like this is so key. There's so much untapped growth within your existing book of business. Imagine, and we're going to show you this. Imagine being able to quickly pull a segment or view a segment for everybody that doesn't have sewer backup coverage, and then creating a sophisticated cross sell across email and social retargeting to go and promote that coverage.
So for time, there's other things I want to show you. So I'm going to skip through the other 2 points, because I think you by now must know how this would make you more efficient operationally when you have automation taken away the mundane tasks that AI can replace, and why data is so critical for informed decision making. I do want to answer Joyce's question about concerns using AI generated content. So there are concerns. However, the research is showing that as long as the content that's generated by AI meaningful and useful and the user is engaging with it, Google algorithms aren't penalizing you. And in fact, Google's coming out with their own Bard, I think, with their own AI. So I think it's just a part of everyday life, but it's how you train it, how you use it, and if it's meaningful for the search users on Google, whether or not they penalize you. So I'm going to quickly go over the data. So these are data dashboards that Truthful built from our pain points from being a brokerage and not having access to data. And here you can, I'm just going to quickly review because we don't have a lot of time, but you can see your active policies, your active premium, and then your policy retention rate. You can see by line of business and market as well. And you can also really drill down to see that your hey, wow, surprise, not surprising, your multi-line retention rate is 4 points higher than your monoline retention rate. So that tells you, you know, a couple things that Jen and I are going to show you is based on the data. What we're going to tell you right now is based on the data. How do you build a marketing strategy and how do you measure results? Because without data, without live real-time data, you can't do either properly. You're just wasting money. You can't build the strategy and you can't measure your results and you can't pivot.
Exactly.
If you want to go over some,
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I think if we talk about creating campaigns to increase retention or overall tapping into your overall book growth, if we go to the second one, Tanya, the second slide here, yeah. So start with your strategy. If we talk about, let's just use cross sell as an easy one, and we want to use email marketing. Potentially, we want to use social retargeting to create a multi-stage, multi-drip cross-sell campaign. So define your goals, right? You want to increase your PIF count by 1.8. I think for the marketers in the room, translate to this to gross written premium or revenue so that you can really get your, leadership team or your decision makers behind, a multi-channel drip. What I'm really saying there is that a one and done, one singular cross sell email isn't going to actually be effective. Okay, you'd want to think through. Is it a 3 email drip over the course of 4 months? Do we place that a message, based on data inside our renewal comms? Are we going to retarget on Facebook? Like there's a whole set of things. Just thinking beyond that one email that we sent. I think, Tanya, you had a really good line about email 1, email 2, email 3. We're not going to make this into what goes into email deliverability or readership, but we have to do away with that notion that one singular email is going to turn, is going to return, 20 people raising their hand to say, yes, I would like renter's insurance, right? It's a whole program.
and we're sending out a survey because we'd like to do more of these boot camps. And one of them, an option is how to create email marketing campaigns that are personalized that do convert. And one of the things is how do you create urgency in a drip campaign that really helps you convert more?
Yeah.
So fill out the survey at the end and let us know if that's a session you'd be interested in. Okay, so cross-sell campaigns, part of our critical goal here. I'm not going to play this whole video because you can't hear me talk through it, but I'm going to show you how ChatGPT, and I train it. Here I train it because I ask it to ask me questions so that it gives me the right cross-sell campaign.
output of this is a very sophisticated cross sell, which kind of brings me into this example. I'll go over this quickly, but if we use that cross sell as the example, this would that image that you're looking on the right is really what a multi drip based on behavior, based on customer data would actually look like. Okay, so we'll skip over that, and Tanya and I can hone in on this on the recording that we send you. But the reality is if you look closely, this is really only 3 emails. But the journeys and the streams are really dependent on the interactions by the customer as well as the data within. So we'll enhance that as we go. But we could touch quickly on climate change crisis communications if you want. Can
Yeah, for sure. Um, because we only have 4 minutes, I think we'll create a different boot camp on retention. Like like we'll just do a series of them because this is a heavy boot camp. So I'm going to
yes, and you're
publish
not.
the results of the cross sell campaign. So 20% of you have an active cross sell email campaign, and 80% said no. So we're hoping that with the use of AI, that more of you will feel more confident in creating those cross-sell email campaigns. And our next bootcamp will basically be just on email marketing, what platforms to use, how to write them, how to schedule them, maybe, because I know that's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you're not going to want to miss the renewals. So I think what we'll do is we'll record that, Tan, or we'll do a part two, because there's definitely some really good things to be shown there in terms of the access to data.
So, just really quickly on crisis comms, I think everybody this past couple of years has seen how devastating climate change effects have been around the world, but especially in Canada. We saw it out west with the crazy amount of forest fires. I mean, I drove through BC last summer and I drove through 6 forest fires from Calgary to Nelson. And in Nova Scotia, where I am, we had a never before seen forest fire that I could see from my backyard. We had evacuations. I thought I had to be evacuated. And I never thought I would see the day where there would be forest fires here because it's so damp. We saw flash flooding in Ontario, Nova Scotia, and an insane amount of hail claims out west. So what does that mean for brokers? It means we need to be there for our clients. We need to keep communicating with them, and we need to make sure that we're preventing any possible E&O risks.
Yeah. Yeah. Being proactive, education. We saw a lot of this at Goose Digital as well. The moment everyone went into COVID, in terms of the E&O, the E&O as well. And I think that, yeah, I definitely think the critical bulletins need to go out, but then taking it a step further, and how can we use it as a proactive tool to get ahead, right? Get ahead of this education.
So True Flood, because we were a brokerage, and this was it kind of came back all the way from the Fort McMurray fires that we were doing emergency comms with, was making sure everybody had the right coverage. So because, as you know, as a broker, there is the underwriting blackout zone where you can't put any new coverage when there's a catastrophic claim happening. So this is a great way to prevent that. With our coverage X-ray AI, you can scan your book of business to see where your E&O risks lie, and you can go from type of coverage. So you can see third-party liability, comprehensive, identity theft is a good one. I think that's an easy
Yes.
upsell, an easy way to increase your premium through a small email marketing campaign. I mean, the data breaches that are happening these days, it just seems like every day another company has a data breach, or with hybrid working, it's not as secure. So a lot of people are at risk. And then you can drill down and pull your contact list based on people who don't have a certain coverage. For that's part of our data hub. And if you want more information on that, we'll put a link in the chat to get a demo or to get more information on it. We are at time, so I think we will stop here, but there definitely will be more boot camps in the future if everybody is interested. Actually, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Let's see. Who here is interested in future boot camps from Jen and Tanya?
Hopefully. Yeah.
I will publish the results. And thank you. For those of you who can stay a little bit longer, I want to do this because I'm so proud of this. You ready?
Wasn't our whole deck even built by AI? Just
Yeah,
throwing that out there,
the
right?
PowerPoint design was built by like the early version of Copilot by Microsoft. So it designed the whole thing.
Yeah.
So let's open it up for questions.
Thank you. Yes, we'll definitely do a part two
Yeah, for
because
sure. There's a lot of
there's
content to cover. Can
yeah.
you please fill out just this feedback survey? I'm popping into the chat so we know, like, for next time, what you want to see from us and what topics you want to deep dive.
Yeah, we'll keep this going. We'll keep everybody informed. We're very close to the insurance aspect of it and some of the concerns, the growing concerns. So we'll keep that as part of our talk track and theme as well.
Amazing. Dwight, I saw you ask this question. I forgot to answer it, so I apologize for that. No, I haven't played around with Google Bard yet. I will. I don't think everybody has access to it yet. My okay. So the thing I'm going to try out next is I'm desperately trying to get Truefla to get me Copilot, Microsoft Office
Oh,
Copilot. I'm so excited. So I'll let you guys know if that's worth the money. Hopefully, at the next boot camp, I can be like, is it worth it? Because if
yeah,
you write and reply and create PowerPoint presentations for me, it's worth it.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I mean, I know it's just it's very exciting. It's very exciting as a marketer to just realize how the efficiencies and the productivity that's going to come with all this, right?
And for those of you who want your AIC credit, Rebo hasn't approved it yet, but AIC is here. Please fill out this form, and we'll get you that certificate in the next couple weeks.
Awesome.
Oh, you like it? Oh, Dwight, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try it
Yeah.
out. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
We in the present. Well, last thing in the slides that we'll send out to everybody, there is a list of AI tools. You know, most of it is some of them are free. Go in, play around, you know, get started, and yeah, here's a link to some of our favorites. And but yes, as Dwight said, get in there and Google and play around with it. Bing's another one, but it's exciting for sure.
Definitely. And I honestly like during that whole for those of you who know the Sam Altman scandal, that whole Sam Altman period where he was fired, then Microsoft took him, and then he was hired back, there was a small like blackout period where ChatGPT wasn't working. It
Yeah.
almost ruined my workday because I have become so dependent on it that I was like, I, I don't even know how to write anymore without the help of ChatGPT. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I was like, how? How do I function as a human now?
Well, hey, last little snippet. I know this is now getting very informal, but that's okay. So I've heard people using for the Elf on the Shelf that came this December 1st for some kids and parents using Chat GPT to come up with Elf on the Shelf ideas. So just
Oh,
throwing that out there, right? If
nice.
you have one of those, you know, labor intensive elves that we all some of us, you know, jumped to the bandwagon a couple of years back. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
We'll
and
look
wait
forward
for
to
the
a part
outro.
two.
Thank you for joining.